Hey friends, it's Tracy. Welcome to today's video. Y'all have been asking for more painting. So today I am taking a sign from the Dollar Tree, flipping it over and painting a cute Merry Christmas tree on the back. All right guys, let's go ahead and get started and let's paint. What I started with is one of these Beware signs from the Dollar Tree, but they seem to have different signs oblong like this throughout the year for different holidays. And what I did is I just took some brown craft paper that I had on a roll and I cut it off and then cut it down to size so that I could cover up the back. It's not perfect, but it's good enough for me, and it just makes me feel better just having this covered. And so then what I'm going to do is give this 2 coats of just white acrylic paint. It's just what I had on hand and just pulled, and so I'm just using my very large brush. I think I got this big brush from Walmart, and just giving it 2 coats of the white acrylic paint. Then I'm going to give it a background, and I'm going to use this paint color called Drizzle Gray. I'm also going to use my fan brush, and I like to do backgrounds with my fan brush. I just dip just a part of it, not the whole thing. I just dip several bristles in it and just kind of go back and forth, making some lines. Now, I have been doing this for a few years, so I kind of eyeball it, but I know if you're just starting out, you can mask it off with painter's tape or draw a line or something like that. But I'm just kind of quickly showing you. I have so many sweet friends that are encouraged by just, watching paint and find it entertaining. And so as you can see, it's not perfect. I don't want it to be. I just want it to be very, kind of aloof and whimsical. So then now I'm going to add some brown shading. I feel that the shading kind of brings things out, and it's just something that I like to do to bring out my painting. And so what I do is I have a 1/2 inch flat paintbrush. I have some clean water, and the color of paint I like to shade with is acrylic paint, milk chocolate. And so I just go along the outer like around the edges as well as in between. I'll go in kind of like the underside of the stripes just to give it some shading. Also, if you haven't seen me shade my projects before, what I do is I dip half of my brush in the paint and then the other half in clean water. I blend on a paper towel. I like to use the shop towels from the automotive section, like at Walmart. You can get them at Sam's and other stores like that, but they're a little bit thicker than your usual paper towel. But I'm just kind of sharing different tips that work for me and products that I use. Now I'm going to move on to start my tree, and I'm going to use this paint color Holly Green and that same fan brush that I've washed out and have it ready. And then what I do is I just take part of the brush, dip it in the paint, and just kind of fan it out and wispy it as I go along down the side of the of this board right here. I'm kind of just like feathering. That's what I kind of, consider it. And so since this tree is oblong, I kind of was thinner at the top, and then I kind of, come out a little more. I'm making my strokes a little bit more wider as I get down to like the bottom of the tree. And so then, it just, honestly, it really depends on what kind of mood I'm in when I'm painting. Sometimes I paint back and forth, like the left side, the right side, the left side, the right side. But for this particular project that day, I guess because I wanted to make sure that I got the right side of my tree correct. And so this just goes to show you the difference in the paints. Even though I shook it up and I'm putting the wispiness on the left-hand side, it was kind of a little more translucent or a little more opaque. So I don't know if it was something in the paint. underneath it, or maybe what the board's made of. I don't know. I was just a little puzzled that day, which it's not a problem at all. It just goes to show you that not all paints are correct, or not all paints are consistent, I guess. And so that I just kind of went with it and just kept going over it until I got the coverage that I was looking for. And so I just make sure that I have that feathered look on the edges of the tree, because this is like a cedar tree or a fir tree or something like that. I don't really know my Christmas trees too good. Shame on me. But I just kind of go over it until I get the coverage that I'm looking for. And I'm okay that it's not totally covered, because that's not what I'm looking for. Okay, so then once this is dry, I let my green dry completely. Then I'm just taking some white and just doing the same thing. I'm going around with my paintbrush, my fan paintbrush, and just kind of making some swooshes or some fans, feathers out that way. This just kind of brings out some highlights. It kind of gives some character to the tree, and also like some, definition for the person to know that this is a Christmas tree. And then I'll just use that same 1/2-inch brush and some milk chocolate paint, and just paint on the bottom of the trunk. So then to give more highlights, I'm using this acrylic paint color Kiwi, and it's more of a green color. And then I have a number 2 liner paintbrush, and then I just go, and not as much as I did with the white and with the fan brush, because I'm using a liner brush, which is very thin, and I just go along and just give it some green streaks, just to, bring out some more character and fun parts of the tree. Once my tree is completely dry, I will do the same thing with the shading around the outside of the tree, just with that 1/2-inch flat paintbrush and my paint, dipping half of it in paint, the other half in clean water, and then I blend on a paper towel. Then I just go around the outside of the tree as well as the trunk, just to give it some depth and dimension. Once my sign is completely dry, then I'll go back and use my fine Sharpie marker and just go around the edges and in between the trees, just to give it some doodling. I just love to do this for my painted projects, because I really feel that it makes the painted projects pop. Now, sometimes less is more, so I just kind of gauge as far, I don't want to like overdo it. And depending on how big my sign is will depend on if I use my fine Sharpie marker or if I use my ultra fine Sharpie marker. But most of the time I use my fine Sharpie marker, because I like that thickness of, what the marker is. And so then next I am going to do my favorite. I'm so old school, I know, but I just love how paint splattering makes my projects look. I'm country through and through, down to the core, and so I love to paint splatter my projects. I do black first and then I do white. I will leave a video of how I paint splatter my projects if you would like to check that out. Now I'm going to do some hand lettering using this color of red. This is primary red. I'm using a 1/4 inch flat paintbrush, and what I'm doing here is just kind of air drawing it just to make sure that I have enough room. I do highly recommend that. I kind of just take my paintbrush like I'm going to, paint it, and then I just make sure that it doesn't get, that it's not too crammed. And so I just take my time, and I'm going to spell out the words Mary, or the word Mary. And as I've mentioned before, this is some God-given talent. I have been hand lettering like this for many years, and I only say this to you to encourage you if it's something that you want to do to learn how to hand letter. There is a free font called Geldotica that does have like the happy dots that I like to do. You can download it for free. There is a link in the description box. You can download it on your computer, and you can type out different words on your computer, print it out. Then you can use graphite paper or transfer paper or something, and then transfer it onto your board, what you're trying to do. You can also use like the pencil lead technique on the back of paper to and then trace over the front so that it transfers the pencil drawing onto your whatever you're trying to write. And so I do appreciate and love so many country loving friends that do love this style of lettering. Once my board is completely dry, I give it a coat of this gloss varnish. This is my favorite varnish to use. I do have it linked in the description box below. And once that is completely dry, then I have these small styrofoam balls. Now I pulled out, this pack was these pink and red and white one pack is from Valentine's Day, but I only used some of the red and the white. And then I also showed you a pack that I got from the Dollar Tree that had gold in it. And so I was just kind of sharing just different things. Anyway, I just used my little serrated knife just to cut them in half, and then I hot glued them around the tree just to give it some decoration. Now for the top of the tree, what I did is I made a bow out of this ribbon. I think I got this ribbon at Joann's. And so I just made a simple bow, and then also I added some raffia and made it a cute tree topper for the tree. Now to attach my bow to the top of my tree, I'm using my paper piercer. And since these boards are, like cardboard, it was very easy to just put a small hole in this board. And then what I did is I just used some of my wire, and I just threaded through the raffia bow that I made, and then I twisted it around the red bow, and then I attached it to the top of the tree. I just twisted the wire in the back. And then to get the bow where it wouldn't cover up the letters, what I did is I just did some dots of hot glue, and then, everything laid nicely and it didn't cover up my letters. Now, this sign would be cute for any country decor, but what I did with it is I made a candy cane swag wreath. This is an extra large wreath that I will be sharing very soon for my wreath loving friends. So y'all look for that once I get that uploaded here to my channel. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all of your support, for your kind comments, your encouragement, and most of all, your prayers for my healing. Recently, I was sick, and the Lord healed me, and it was because of prayer. All right, guys, y'all take care. Have a great day. God bless.